It's year by year again, and now tonight we're looking at 1983. Thank you guys for joining again. My name is VHS Jace, and we're going to pump through 1983 tonight. But before we do that, I've got to go back to 1982 to talk about a little film that I missed, and I can't believe it missed because it made such a huge impact. Rocky 3. Yes, I was aware of Rocky as a kid. I'd seen it. I'd seen Rocky 2, but I was a bit young. But Rocky 3 brought the game for me. At 9 years old, this movie had a massive impact on me. I mean, just what a film. Montages galore, a real energetic score. The movie doesn't slow down. The fights are great. Rocky gets his ass kicked by Clubber Lang in that first fight. And of course, Mr. T playing Clubber Lang. Incredible. You know, there is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. Mwah. Magnifique. Rocky 3, I had to mention, and we'll talk more Rocky as we go through the years, but we're here to talk about 1983. So let's get started. February 4th of 1983, where I'm going to start it because I saw this movie way too young. It messed with my head, but I've now been a lifelong fan, and that is David Cronenberg's Videodrome. Yes. Now, I know some people don't like the actor at the moment, James Wood, but this is a quality horror film by this Canadian director. It's basically the plot. He plays a studio executive who kind of notices the frequency. There's like a vibration, causes havoc. Absolute brilliant. I don't want to spoil any more than that. If you get a chance, see Videodrome. There's no way a 9-year-old child should have been watching it, but I watched it anyway. Now, the next one I want to talk about dropped, well, on February 18th. And it was a film, I think, come out of nowhere. And the star, Mel Gibson, you know, yes, he'd done the film Gallipoli, but he hadn't, and he was in The Road Warrior, but we hadn't seen much of him. And I'm talking about the Mel Gibson Sigourney Weaver, The Year of Living Dangerously. Sorry, I couldn't get a better pitch than that. And I was too lazy to upgrade on ChatGPT. But they're not the stars of this film. Linda Hunt, who plays a Cambodian person, wins an Oscar for this. Best Supporting Actress. It's a good film. I just remember it because, you know, at home with adults, they were watching this film quite a bit. So it did have an impact. Yeah, for sure. And just a reminder, guys, I'm not going to capture everything. I just can't. So I really depend on you guys again in the comments. Let me know what I've missed out on. Let me know what you like, what you didn't like. Really important. And some wonderful people that know who they are. They're onto it early. So, all right, let's move forward to March. And, well, this next film became really important, more so in my teenage years because, you know, I did book reports and I saw the film and all that. But I loved it even when I was this young. And of course, The Outsiders. Look at this cast. Look at this cast. Now, if where do I start? Because it's going to take an hour just to get through this classic cast. But let's get into it. There's C. Thomas Howe. There's Matt Dillon. There's here we go. Patrick Swayze. Tom Cruise is in this one. Emilio Estevez. Ralph Macchio was in this one. It's like a Diane Lane's in this. I mean, it just the list goes on and on and on. Yeah, it's one of the great films. And if you've got a young adolescent going into teenage, get them to watch it. Not only because, you know, I think it's a good coming of age story and, you know, a cautionary tale. However, it's just a damn good movie. It's just a quality movie. Francis Ford Coppola, he was on fire in here. Fantastic. Okay, moving on to the next film that I wanted to talk about. And that would have been, gee, let's have a look. March 31st. March 31st saw the release of and the hype around. I remember the hype around this film because in Australia they were massive and we couldn't wait for anything that said Monty Python and the Meaning of Life. Basically a sketch movie with just Monty Python just dealing with this subject. It's awesome. I love it. It's kind of arcs back to their earlier stuff. Some people don't like it. I don't know what's wrong with them, but there's some hilarious stuff. especially around life, giving birth. Here's the machine that goes bing. Anyway, that sounded horrible and cheesy, but when you watch it in context, amazing. Meaning of life was a big deal to me, for sure. For sure. But here, the next movie was a big deal to a lot of people. And, maybe not made for the blokes, but I think if you're a bloke, you couldn't argue the fact that this was a well made film and a banger soundtrack. And the girls were pretty too. So that's Flashdance. Flashdance, made by Bruckenheimer and his partner at the time, which I don't know why I've gone blank on that man's name, so I do apologize. However, this started a trend of these high concept movies where they spend a lot on the soundtrack, and these soundtracks sometimes become more profitable than the films. Not to denigrate this film, but that soundtrack sold millions and millions of CDs where that's how people got their music in the 80s, guys. The best case scenario, you could copy tape to tape or from vinyl to tape. But yeah, I know that was a huge seller in the music realm and quite a good movie. I'm not going to say it's a horror movie, not a movie I'd watch all the time, but I had an older sister. This came out, this was on all the time later in 83. Now, the next movie, which would come in May, is a film I should not be watching. I'd seen the first one. It kind of made a little bit of an impact. I didn't mention it. It was back in 81, the first one, which was Porky's. Funny enough, I didn't get to see Porky's till later. But I did sneak a peek way too young at Porky's 2 the next day. Now, if you're talking about the genre, because in the 70s and 80s, there was the teen sex comedy genre. It's a big deal. We talked about it last episode with Fast Times at Richmond High, which is the supreme A class. Porky's isn't the A class. It's a B minus class, or maybe a B. Very funny, but way more bawdy and way more kind of wink, wink kind of thing. But yeah, it's the next day, so it pretty well carries on the next day. And hey, man, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and again, it's a genre in the 70s and 80s which was very successful. And yeah, this is definitely up on the Mount Rushmore of dirty movies for teenagers. All right, let's move it on because really, this is the film of the year for me. Of course, it is. Think I didn't even need to tell you guys. I know you're going to guess what my film of the year was. It's simple, right? It's 1983. It's time for Return of the Jedi. Now, I'm 4 when Star Wars comes out. I'm 7 when Empire comes out. I'm 10 now. I'm 10. And I tell you what, ooh, was I anticipating this film like you wouldn't believe. Like I had these kind of made up ideas of what it was going to be and all that type of thing. Um, yeah, what can you say about Jedi? One thing from the get go, I loved it, but I, even at that age, when it wasn't as good as Empire. Even at a 9-year-old, will someone just kill Wicked already? Like, I didn't like the Ewok stuff at that age, at 10. I was like, yeah. Love the speeder bike chase through there. That was epic. But the actual Ewoks themselves, teddy bears, even as a 10-year-old boy, you're like, what the fuck is this? Anyway, still Return of the Jedi. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen it. But again, I just want to remind you folks, you can catch that as well as a bunch of other movies we talk about on this show over on our VHS Vault, which you should go and check out the playlist. Lots of great movies me and Jason Roy Gasson have reviewed over there. So after Return of the Jedi, we have Blue Thunder. Does everybody remember Blue Thunder? We all remember Airwolf, right? Airwolf seems to be the one everyone remembers. But before Airwolf, there was Blue Thunder, Roy Schneider, yeah, the dude from Jaws, in a kick-ass state-of-the-art helicopter. Yeah, man, it's serviceable. It's the gimmick is the helicopter. The plot is secondary to the helicopter, but it's a movie I saw a lot of. So I wanted to mention Blue Thunder for sure. All right, let's move away from this. The next film again I saw young and saw the original way too young, probably about 7 or 8. I loved Psycho. Loved Psycho. Black and white was great. It scared me. It fascinated me. I'd never seen a movie where we're watching the lead character and then kill them. It was. I really like, and the reveal of the dead mother in the end. And I was young enough to not care about whether it's black and white. So, but they did make a sequel, which everybody wasn't sure about. But they wrote a great sequel. I don't care what you say. Psycho 2 is a great film. It's about Norman Bates coming home 22 years later and dealing with, well, a psychosis that hasn't really gone away. Psycho 2 is an excellent film. I enjoyed it very immensely and watched it many times over the years. And as a 10-year-old, I'm like, yeah, man, this was good. If you ever want to fight me over Psycho 2, let me know. But I do think it's a gem that's been forgotten with time. Go check Psycho 2. Moving on from Psycho 2 is a movie that is wow. If Return of the Jedi was one, this was my number 2 movie of the year. War Games, man. I got to see this at the cinema as well. What a treat to be taken to go and see a movie. You want to go to the movies today, Jason? Yeah, I'd love to go to the movies and get taken to this. What an excellent film, right? This film had legacy and it stands on its own 2 feet 43 years later because just a well written script, very tight, directed brilliantly. You got Matthew Broderick and Ali Sheedy, who are just wonderful young talents. Do you want to play a game? I mean, excellent. First time I'd heard the term thermonuclear war. And you've got to remember in 1983, we legit thought we were going to get nuked every single day because that's what the media did, scared the shit out of everyone. Excellent film. All right. But we need something to lighten us up after the threat of thermonuclear destruction. And, mate, what can I say? Trading Places. One of the great comedies of the 80s, right? This movie's hilarious. Great idea. Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy are just on fire. And then you've got classic actors like Ralph Bellamy in it and Don, I've forgotten your last name, but you're the pair of that, the head of the organization that make that dollar bet. And of course, Jamie Lee Curtis and her, no, but Jamie Lee Curtis. Actually, important movie for her because she's breaking away from the horror girl mode here and finding herself in a comedy. The girls had to go out. And they're a great set of girls, let's face it. I'm a big fan of breasts. All right, moving on. After that, there was a James Bond movie, 1983. Now, I know, before you go, hang on, let me correct myself. There were 2 James Bond movies this year. Let's talk about the first one, Octopussy. Roger Moore, Octopussy. Now, I don't hate this film. I don't think it's aged particularly well. I enjoyed it. We've done a review on the VHS vault for Octopussy. But this was the beginning of the end for Roger Moore. He'd only do one more Bond movie after this. But a Bond movie is a Bond movie, and it's got some wonderful moments in it. Really cool. And I love that plane from the beginning. Very, very cool, James Bond. Well, if you're going to see a James Bond movie, what more is going to come out next? Ooh, Superman 3. Now, I get it. I get it. It's not a great Superman movie. But when I was 10, this movie was dope. It was dope. This was a great, fun Superman movie. And then you've got the guy from the toy in it, Richard Pryor. Hell yeah. I loved Superman 3. And the film scared the absolute shit out of me when the chick turned into the robot wide monster. She gets sucked into that supercomputer. Man, Superman 3, I know it ain't great. I know it ain't great, but it's a guilty pleasure. I'm proud to say I do like this film. Yeah, I have a lot of fun with Superman 3. And at the end of the day, you go, look, it isn't great. At the time, you go, I'll give it a pass. They'll make another one, and that'll be amazing. We'll talk about that in a couple of years. All right, moving on though. If I thought the robot lady scared the absolute fuck out of me, oh, this is another movie I shouldn't have been seeing at 10. Cujo, man. Now this is intensity. This is intensity, this movie. And what a simple concept. Drew Barrymore and a kid cat trapped in a car as a killer. What is it? A bull mastiff, I think. A bull mastiff, I think it is. That has just got rabies and freaked out and trying to attack them. Unbelievable. It's our first Stephen King movie of the year, too. We should mention that, written by Stephen King. They really captured intensity with this film. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. And think of T. Wallace, right? Who the year before was in this very safe, the biggest family film of all time with E.T. Now, this couple of great choices of films she took on. Absolutely terrifying. Man, there's some dark moments in 83, but there's also some light. And the next two, I just adore. Mr. Mum, all right? Mr. Mum. Hilarious. Fantastic. Funny that it was considered high concept. Oh, look at this guy. He's going to play the wife. So there is some built in misogyny behind the whole idea of it from a 2026 perspective. But you can't deny that it was a well executed comedy. It's fun. Like, it may not have aged well, but this is a way society dealt with, like a wake up call was in 83. We were making a comedy about Mr. Mum where we can normalize men staying home and raising children. Hey, I was a Mr. Mum for one of my kids, so all is great. I think the film's funny. I do think the film's funny. Very funny. But it's good. But this is great, right? Vacation drops in July, by the way. This is in a July film. Mr. Mum was July 22nd. July 29th, you got to see a really great comedy. A great idea about following a family as they do a road trip. Anyone's ever did a road trip with their kid immediately gets this film. And by the way, look at that poster. See that poster's inspired by the barbarian movies of this time. Was it Frank Zanetta? I think it looks like one of his stuff. But I love the poster's amazing. And the film holds up. Chevy Chase has never been better. And I love John Candy at the end of this. And who they cast as the kids. I mean, this film is wonderful. And of course, Beverly D'Angelo, who we got to see a bit more of as well. Seems to be the year where the actresses got them out for the guys. But Vacation. Comedy classic, right? How many times have you seen that film? Unbelievable. And it's a comedy series where it really doesn't get shitty until they do a remake. But their sequels, maybe not as good as the other, but they do 3 more sequels to this film, and I like every one of them, even the Vegas one. I have a good time with these vacation films. They're really good, really good. This is probably, I saw this at the cinema. I don't know why I saw the cinema. I don't know why nobody researched what this movie was about. But again, I'm getting to see things probably not appropriate for my age. But it's a great film, and I knew it back in 83, and that's Risky Business. Tom Cruise, Rebecca De Mornay. This is a really great film. About prostitution, mind you, but it's quality film. You can tell this was the role that just went. Tom Cruise is going to be something. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Risky Business, a classic of this decade. You can't argue it. Can you argue the next one's a classic or not? Because on August 19th, Jaws 3D. Now, okay. So this is Universal talking about. We said last week that we had Friday the 13th part in the last one, Friday the 13th part 3D. That was the start of a gimmick. They started to try to push this tech, even though it would be a couple of decades before they got it right. Jaws 3D. I got taken to it. I got to put the 3D because, of course, I wanted to see something in 3D. My sister was dumb enough and her friends to take me to see this. And wow, what an opening. With the parts flying as the head and all that. However, the concept is the only cool thing about this. This rest of the movie is absolute garbage. But I put it there because it was a seminal cinema experience for me at the time that I got to see a 3D film, and it was a Jaws film. You know what I mean? So, yeah, movie shit, but it was a great experience when I was a kid. Okay, and the next one, I don't like this film. The next one I'm talking, I don't know why I know why I'm putting it up here. I'm talking the big chill, not for a 10-year-old kid, not made for me, not the demographic they were aiming for. But I mention it because the soundtrack, like Flashdance, was a fucking huge hit. It definitely made more than the film did, with just some classic music in there. Go check out. I'm not going to go through the music now because I don't have time, but go check out the Jill soundtrack and tell me that isn't one of the great soundtracks with Flashdance. Again, they're figuring out there's other ways to make money in the film business by selling music. All right. Now, I mentioned before there was a James Bond movie called Octopussy. There was two that year with the rivaling Never Say Never Again. Now, look, you can look into this, right? How it happened. It was a rights issue because Kevin McClory had the rights to Thunderball, one of the original James Bond films. There was a big legal battle come out, big separation with the Broccolis, and it ended up they're making dual films. And Sean Connery returns with a buttload of money in his pocket for Never Say Never Again. Interestingly enough, directed by Irvin Kershner, who was the one who directed Empire Strikes Back. It's a serviceable Bond film. It's not a great Bond film, but it's serviceable. And kind of feels weird once you know why they made it. But yeah, what can you do? What can you do? But check it out if you're a Bond fan, which I am. I'd be happy to do a whole series of Bond. This is the odd one out. This is definitely the odd one out. The next film, well, okay. Sometimes you're forced to do things as a kid you don't want to do. And one of them is going to see the right stuff. I didn't want to see this movie. Who gives a shit? 3 hours of sitting here about fucking astronauts? Get fucked. But man, I changed my mind once I saw it and then forgot about it for years. And then we decided to do it on the VHS vault, where we decided to open that vault and do the right stuff. So go check out that review. I have a lot of respect for this film. I really do. I really do. All right, let's get back into some fun though. And although some people may not call this fun, I freaking love this movie. The Dead Zone. Christopher Walken, Martin Sheen, Stephen King's The Dead Zone. It's it's one of my my favorite roles of Christopher Walken. It's so intense in this. This is a great movie. They ended up making a TV series years later with Anthony Michael Hall. But this film, what I'm talking about, I saw it too young. I freaking loved it. It was amazing. All right, we're getting there, folks. Let's now get to November 16th, 18th. Now, I'm going to bring this up only because I know how culturally important it is. And I didn't see it until last year, until the great Jason Rogaston, who owns this channel, um, said, do you want to do something around the Christmas story? I said, I've never seen a Christmas story. So he showed me a Christmas story, and I love the Christmas story now. It's kind of cute, but I know it was an American cultural phenomenon, and certainly came around out this time. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of throw that in. I'm a fan of it now, but for all transparency, I didn't see it until 2025. But yeah, I can understand. It's a cute, wonderful movie. So yeah, can you believe I saw Scarface before I saw A Christmas Story? Because I did, and I saw it on the year of release. So I saw this at the drive-in because no one gave a shit at the drive-in. He was in the car. Got to see, say hello to my little friend. Yeah, wonderful performance, intentionally like written by Oliver Stone. Just directed by the great Brian De Palma and Al Pacino in his prime. This movie is gold. And certainly he's been part of the zeitgeist forever. You know, it represents toughness. And, you know, some people ice Tony, but he's a psychopath. There's nothing good about him, man. But an incredible film. Go check it out. We're almost there. We've got two more to do. And the next one I wanted to talk about came out right in December because Scarface was December 9th. Sudden Impact. And you go, what? Around that time, I was introduced to the Dirty Harry movies. So by the time this movie came out, for what? It's a new Dirty Harry movie? I got to check it out. And it's a great one. In fact, I do believe, unless my brain is scrambled, that this is the movie where we actually get the thing he's most known for. And he made 3 other Dirty Harry movies by this point, and that's Go Ahead, Make My Day. That comes from this film. Everybody just thinks it comes from Dirty Harry. It doesn't. It comes from Sudden Impact. Really great. When Clint Eastwood was Dirty Harry, man, even if the films weren't great, and there were a couple of them weren't great, it's always excellent. So that was brilliant. And you know what? To finish it off this year is one of my favorite films of the decade. I was obsessed with it when I was young. It's a really great film. It's Christine. Released on December 9th as well. I freaking love this movie. John Carpenter, Stephen King. It's wonderful. It's excellent. And the car effects to this day, how they did the car rebuilding itself, it looks great. And it gives a real authenticity to it. Christine is a wonderful film. Wonderful film. Many people may have tried to do something with cars in the future, but this is the penultimate possessed car movie. It just is. There's nothing better than this. But guys, that has been 1983. Now, has there been stuff that I've missed out? Probably. Don't forget, guys, I love all your support. Talk about it in the chat. Tell your friends about it. Get them to have an opinion about it. But I love talking to you guys about this film. I'm absolutely having the time of my life doing this. So, guys, yeah, please get involved. Let people know. And I hope you enjoyed the show. And next time, yes, we're talking about 1984. So until then, thanks for watching.